Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another rant video, and this is going to be about Whoopi Goldberg, who got herself an incident. It's not a serious incident, being in the talk show The View, which has been there for several years, more than a decade. For some people who might know her back, like if you're like a 90s, 80s, 70s person, you all know her. She was a very popular actress who has a lot of charisma, very enthusiastic, as well as a great comedian. She was very popular in the 90s. She used to be in movies like Karina Karina. She used to be the hyena from The Lion King, the, the fantasy book from Page Master, as well as the very popular nun from Sister Act. And why I plan to talk about this topic and why I'm going to get straight into it now is that when she said some words that she shouldn't have said, although yes, I do agree with people, they have a right to share their opinions and have different thoughts, because an opinion is supposed to be that differs from other people's words. But those words she said shouldn't have came out of her mouth, and this is where I kind of have to disagree. This is where I have to say that she's gonna have to do a lot of reflecting, although she's at a certain age where you have to think before you speak, because apparently on the talk show The View, she actually ended up getting suspended because she claimed that the Holocaust was not about race. Although yes, the thing about racism is the same as bigotry. She should know that bigotry and racism are very similar, because if you think about it, the Germans did not like Jewish people simply because of who they were, and 60 million died throughout the tragic incident of the Holocaust. That's like the amount of animals that were slaughtered in the butcher house. And again, she tries to justify what she's saying, but like there is some consequence, like for her actions. Although she may have not done anything physically, she may not think she's trying to hurt someone, but she's trying to be smart about it by saying what she's like, as if she's really making sense. And it's what got her suspended for a couple weeks. And then she did read a book about the Holocaust. It was written by an author, Vladek Spiegelman. I wonder how the author feels like someone as popular as her reading it, because this is the same person that actually went through the Holocaust. So imagine, like, he'll be surprised, because you would think Whoopi Goldberg would try to be acknowledgeable. She'd have like some sort of sympathy. You have to kind of understand where people are coming from. People will get offended, because although you kind of like may not realize it, you may think it's not that personal. Like, and originally, because before I even heard all of this, when I heard she was suspended, I was actually gonna take up for her. But then I realized I tried to figure what was going on, because I can't assume that she's in the right, because she's trying to make it seem like she's in the right, but she's in the wrong. And although I don't think people are gonna turn on her, but yeah, at the same time, people are gonna see poorly of her. But like, and then she was forced to apologize, and she admit what she did. She admit that what she said she shouldn't have said in the first place, that she was wrong for it, and that she didn't realize it offended that many people. But then again, like, it has to be sincere. I don't know if she was too sincere, because it seemed like it was a forced apology, because she was asked to, because of ABC. Because if I recall, ABC has ties with the Jewish people. They collab with them, with families, traditions, business, anything related to that. And again, people especially with the type of business she's in, if you're in ABC News reporting on you, yeah, because the fact that the fact that they're associated with those people can say a lot, because they're gonna judge her for who she is, and they want her out of the show. But yet again, I don't think the people want her kicked out the show, because it's the fact her name, she has a big face, a big name. I don't mean that literally, but for all the people I'm talking about, like, she's supposed to be considered a sensation. She's supposed to make the people feel grateful that she's on the talk show, because of her fame, because of her renown, all that, like, because of her charisma, like that I already mentioned. She lightens the load, she carries the show. Because obviously, like, if it was somebody else, like, besides, if she was not Whoopi Goldberg, imagine they probably would decide to fire her. But because she's, like I said, she's very popular, and I've mentioned this before, when you are big and you have a lot of fame, you can carry a load. You can carry the weight of all others around you and be a huge talk throughout the town. Whether it's on, then I don't mean just in town, it could be on social media, whatever platform. Again, because she has to think before she speaks, because there's going to be people that will monitor her. She's being monitored, guaranteed. And they're going to use any type of chance to try to blow her career, to try to sabotage her career either way. Because that's why, yeah, maybe she, at this point, maybe whether she's smart or not, like, people will use that to her disadvantage. Because especially some people, these celebrities, whether they realize or not, there's some are a lot that are aware that there are people looking for opportunities to try and ruin them, ruin their lives, make them become miserable. Because there are people out there who are jealous, just like the paparazzi. Imagine she goes out of her house, she leaves her property, she leaves her home, and she's walking. You see a bunch of spectators, you see a bunch of people, cameras that are involved with paparazzi, just come out, they just show up, they surround her, start taking pictures. She's gonna go through that again because of what she's saying. Because they're gonna say, "Are you serious about what you meant? Like, are you a bigot?" Are they gonna be asking her um, nuisance questions, as if it has any meaning, like there's any point, because what they're looking for is to get some type of exposure. They want to expose her for using pictures, get a type of answer, like, and basically to at least for her to, they're gonna look for the opportunity for her where she might accidentally expose herself. She might accidentally say the wrong words. She might accidentally feel like she's being targeted. She's gonna feel like she's misguided. So what I mean like misguided, she's like she might be troubled, she might get confused. She wants to avoid saying the wrong word, so the best thing is not to say anything. Because that will happen is that she will be getting a lot of attention. She's gonna be getting a lot of questions by certain people. And again, I'm sure people were offended, like I'm saying, like, again, because the way this is taking, like the way this is gonna happen, like there's a lot of reflecting that needs to go on. Like, I don't know whether I'm not whether to say I'm right or wrong, because I'm pretty sure there's celebrities that are aware that they can't exactly say whatever they want on social media. They can't say, like, the thing is they feel free to say whatever they want. She's probably part of that. She's probably part of that group. I don't know whether to put her in that category, but you have celebrities that will brag, that will say certain stuff that might offend people or to trigger people. They want to trigger people, but then they think because of how big their popularity is, somehow it's gonna be brushed off the rug. It's gonna be like forgotten. Like people are just gonna all of a sudden just not care because they think, oh, he made a mistake, she or she made a mistake. It just wasn't meant to be. Maybe in her case, like it seemed like where the people are making it seem like she is serious, and unfortunately she was. But again, maybe she thought because of her name that, as if there was really no issue, that she's not gonna really get in trouble for this. And I don't think she should be charged or sued or anything. Some people think that she should be charged or sued for this, but the suspension is enough. Because obviously, if she was some, and I trust you, guarantee, if she was not Whoopi Goldberg, had she not had the popularity, the reputation that she has right now, she needs to be able to uphold that. Like she would not be in that show. She would not ever be in that show. Trust me, she would not even be a host. She wouldn't be part of. She wouldn't be a co-host of The View, regardless. Had she be somebody else that didn't have the reputation that she was able to uphold. And speaking of reputation, like 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 I said, anything you say that might offend people, that you the wrong word, sometimes you gotta be careful. I can understand, you might not think before you speak. There's a lot of stuff that may be coming through your mind. You don't really think these days. You can't really, you want to decide for yourself. That's how it is. It's usually like you're thinking for you, only for how you feel. Sometimes it's hard to understand what others want. whether they just want you to be nice, or in turn they want you to offer something like an apology, which she did. Like, but will it be enough? I don't know. Again, because she needs to, like I said, she in order for her to uphold her reputation, she's gotta be able to show that she has some type of restraint, that she can be calm, that she's gotta like say that she can try to realize what she's doing is not appropriate. She may as well. She's gotta like be able to like see her views as people, kind of like um, take their advice by hearing them out, being able to come up with a solution that everyone could possibly deem themselves in a winning situation where they're in a positive, staying in a positive light, where they don't feel uncomfortable. Like they have somebody like Whoopi Goldberg who just inspires people, and she needs to show words of encouragement. Because what I mean by words of encouragement, that's who I remember back in the '90s. Because if she can be able to recall her past, look back into her like acting career and see what people liked her for, the kind of person she was, I guarantee she can realize she can fix those mistakes and become someone who is just that same person that inspired people like she did in the '90s, and then be like revert to, I'm not saying be she's able to turn back young, but like she could try to remember the good old days, and then she could try and be herself where she actually was a caring type of carefree type of person who's just willing to say whatever she could to try to redeem herself, and that's what she needs to do. And again, whether people forgive her or not, all that matters is that like she stays well, people can move on, and maybe try to understand her, and then thinking she does not make the same mistake, and then she can try to improve. Although considering her age, she's 66, about to turn 67 this year, we might have to see later in the future. And then hopefully maybe she realizes that what she did may have not deemed serious, but again, she possibly hurt a lot of people who went through the trouble of going through the Holocaust. Just imagine the amount of trauma they went through, because the people who were in the Holocaust, especially when it did exist, it's not fiction. The people who went through it were traumatized, and again, that's why I think people were telling her to be to have some sort of sympathy, because it's in regards whether you don't like it or not. It's to have respect for those people, because it was a very dangerous time, and people want to be able to not like go back and remember their darkest days. And again, I'm sure people are gonna forget, and then eventually gonna see that like words are meaningless, and then although because this is gonna follow her for although this may follow for the rest of her life, again she will reflect on it. People will probably forgive her yet again, but also you have to understand like the people that went through it who probably don't want to go back and remember what happened in their younger days, because you know this is gonna say this is like it's they that's like for them it's like a nightmare that just won't go away, because it's something that can't go away, and you can't forget it because it's been happening throughout most of their life, and it's hard to say whether it's been. And you know what else, because imagine the stories they had to tell so they can remind their future kids, or the people, their kids in the present, what it was like, or their groups, so they can kind of like not cherish those memories, but share the past, share the history, and then realize that changes need to be made, and that Whoopi Goldberg can change, and that you don't want that's not something to really take lightly. And again, I do hope she realizes what she might have done. May not come across as serious. It may not come across as the most heinous type of thing. Again, she's gonna have to reflect and then try to be a bit more sensitive. And again, those people who did suffer, it's the same thing as slavery back in the old days. Because imagine if people were trying to talk about how if slavery back during the oppression when blacks were oppressed was not considered racism. Just imagine the type of outrage you'd have. Maybe similar to the Holocaust, but worse because of how black people still consider till this day victims, and they make it too much of a big deal now. They have to play the race card, act the victim, and then go out of their way to think it's okay to take their anger out on other people when there are those right now who haven't really went through it because they didn't where they weren't even born besides their families or either older like their ancestors, the grandparents. They should, if anything, those are the people that have sympathy for, as well as the people during the Holocaust. So just think about it again, because it's more than just the Holocaust. It's about the people who suffered, who were considered inferior, just simply where they're coming from. And then she needs to know where the people that who suffered are really coming from, because they can't leave. They have to live through that nightmare. And I'm sure she's not gonna have that nightmare. But again, this will also this will also like decide for her future, and this was something that can't be removed. This will remain for the rest of her life, what she said, because again, she probably didn't think about it. She wasn't thinking, because either way is that like what you say, especially with someone with the big rep, can determine who you are later in the future, and then you can't be able to avoid it. And again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.